All right. So thank you all for joining me tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about Guide by Your Side Outreach. How do we do it? Why do we do it? And what does that look like? So we're going to start off answering some of the basic questions. And then at the very end of the presentation, I will actually do the PowerPoint that we utilize with professionals and our in-person outreach presentations. So this is my crew here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so you kind of always want to think when you have a job, especially like salespeople. I'm not saying that we're salespeople, but you kind of want to have your idea of how are you going to describe what you do, because what you say to that person is going to stick, and if you brush it off and just say, yeah, I help other families with children who have a hearing loss. If that's how you say it, that's, do you think that that's going to make a lasting impact with whoever you say it to? Are they going to remember exactly what you do? And I know that these examples here are maybe a little exaggerated, but do they stick out? Do they stand out? Heck yeah. So, when you go ahead with your elevator speech, think of what is it that you're going to say that is going to stick, that's going to resonate. And so I came up with these examples. I'm a superhero. I lead families on their journey of raising a child with hearing loss by offering them support and resources that I've gained from my experiences raising my son. Or I'm a lifeguard. I rescue families with children who have a hearing loss by offering them support and resources that I've gained from experiences raising my son. I'm a personal trainer. I inspire families with children who have a hearing loss by offering them support and resources that I've gained from experiences raising my son. I'm a contractor. I assist other families just like mine to build a strong foundation by offering them support and resources that I've gained from experiences raising my son. Now, as you can see, all of those examples have the exact same pretty much ending of descriptor of what that role is. All that changed truly was the opening. And yeah, you don't have to get as crafty as this, but got to be prepared of what you would say when you meet somebody, because you never know where that contact could lead. So what would you tell professionals? You could say, I work for Guide by Your Side, a one-on-one parent support program. I offer unbiased support and resources to families with children who have a hearing loss. Okay, that's very plain compared to the others, but it is our message. It is what we do. And it sounds a lot better that I help other families with a hearing loss. It says nothing about how you offer it and what type of service that is. If you haven't learned yet, we are unbiased. That's a huge part of our program. That's what makes us stand out from other organizations. So, keeping that in mind when you put together your elevator speech. So, professional outreach. Why is it important? Well, we want to create awareness of our program. In our state, we are an opt-in program, which means that referrals to families after their baby does not pass the hearing screening do not automatically get sent to us. So if a family wants to utilize us, they have to find us and either contact us or have that professional help them connect with us. So it allows for those referrals to come to us so that you can have families to work with. It allows for more families to be served, okay? We're reaching more and more than if we didn't say anything, okay? And we're a bridge between professionals and families. A lot of times, families might not know of all the resources that are available to them, but with the help of their guide, they learn more about what's available in the state and their area and so forth and what fits their needs, and so it gives them those connections. So there are 5 different ways to provide outreach. The first one being that it's very simple. You just send out an outreach letter or a send-out card. And you might be thinking, what the heck is a send-out card? The send-out card is an actual organization where online you go in and you pick a card and you fill it in, and the company mails it out to whoever you chose to have that mailed out to. and you know, they do everything. Put your message in. If you wanted to send a little goodie with it, you know, they have cookies and brownies and all kinds of stuff too, gift cards and so forth. So it's a great way. We actually use it as a fundraiser for our company, for our organization, but it's also something that will stand out in the mail for that professional. It's not just another letter-sized envelope. And actually, we do have somebody on our team, Jacqueline, who is in charge of our send out cards account for our team. So if you want to send out a card, maybe that child is having a milestone. Maybe it's the first birthday. Maybe it's them getting a cochlear implant. Maybe something else has happened in the family. Maybe mom's had another baby, and you want to send a card. Absolutely go ahead, send Jacqueline the message that you want to send. And we do have a document in Trello that says, okay, here are some scripted messages, and so you can literally take that scripted message, send it to Jacqueline, fill in the blanks, and tell her when you want that sent out and the address, and she will do that for you. And that's really important too, when you want it sent out. You can tell Jacqueline, say, hey, I don't want this sent out for 3 weeks. And you get it off your plate, and she sets it up and schedules it, and it's done. So that's nice, too. Another great opportunity for sending out cards is when you're ready to close your family's file, or if you're having a hard time connecting with a family, you can ask her to send out a card. So we can talk more about that later. So if you send a letter, you can include our newsletter or an end-of-quarter report, or maybe you're sending them an email. You can include that information as well. You do want to follow up with a phone call or visit, make sure that they've received what you have sent, and always ask if they have any questions and if they need any brochures or giveaways. Sometimes audiology offices, schools, and so forth, they have like little treasure chests for the kids to pick from after an appointment, and we can give them some giveaways to put in that if they would like. And it doesn't hurt to follow up once a quarter, especially some offices that have high turnover, like our early intervention CFC offices. You do need to fill out an outreach form and send that in, but you do not get to bill for outreach because all you did was send a letter or a card, okay? So that's option one. Option two is if you went ahead and talked to them over the phone about God by Your Side, kind of gave them a mini presentation, and that honestly you can go through the slides on your end and they won't be seeing it, but it'll help keep you on task, and so that is another option as well. You can ask them after the presentation if they have any questions, and if we can mail anything out to them. You always want to make sure that they have our materials in hand. So, you know, rather than saying, hey, can I mail some stuff out to you, just say, I was going to mail out 20 brochures that are English and Spanish. Is that enough for your office? Leave it at that where you're going to do it. They're not putting you out by doing it. And if you don't have the time to do it, certainly myself or Kristen, who's overseeing outreach this year, can do that for you. And certainly if you do it, you would submit your postage receipt for us to reimburse you as well. And again, just following up to see if they need more materials or have any questions. For that, you would fill out an outreach form again and bill for a $20 outreach because it is not in person, okay? That's that. Option three, we'll get here soon. There we go. So maybe you've done that initial letter or email and they said, yes, we want to have you come out to the office and talk with the staff. So you're going to go there and visit with them. You do need to check in with me, or actually Kristen this year, and double check and make sure we haven't been out there recently, make sure that we have enough funding to go ahead and do that and so forth. So just double check, get that approved before you do that. Again, showing the outreach PowerPoint and then giving them the materials that they would, you know, possibly need. I know end of quarter reports and stuff might not seem so exciting to you, but to professionals, it gives them a better idea of who we're serving and that we're something for everyone. We're not just for the babies. We're just not for those needy looking parents, because you you honestly can't tell who really looks needy. Somebody could really be hiding it. So that is my biggest thing with professionals, is that they pick and choose who they think needs help. And you know what? Honestly, I put my best face on when I got to that audiologist because I didn't want to seem like the mom that I didn't know what I was doing. And so would they have picked me? Probably not. Could I have used it? Definitely. So that's my biggest thing with professionals, is don't pick and choose. Tell all the parents and let them choose. Newsletters, again, showing them that they can submit things. If they have events and things coming up, they can, turn that in and we can add that to our newsletter. And the newsletter is great for professionals and families. So even if you just brought one copy just to show them the worth of that, that's great too. We do have a mailing list form. We have one set up and geared towards professionals, asking what areas they serve. And then we have one geared towards families, asking them how old their kids are. So depending on where you're offering that outreach, you would bring that form. And then when you turn in your outreach form, you turn in that mailing list so that we can get them added to our database. Again, filling out the outreach form, sending it with your next timesheet, and billing for $40 because it was an in-person outreach. So the next option is if you present at a conference. So you maybe have the Illinois Deaf and Hard of Hearing Teacher Conference happening in Springfield, and they have a call for abstracts. And so you submit that you want to give a presentation on Guide by Your Side and parent support. It gets accepted, and you're going to give a presentation. Again, you can use our presentation. You can add to our presentation. I can work with that on you, and then making sure you have stuff to hand out. Fill out that outreach form, submit it, and again, bill for $40 because your presentation is under 4 hours. Unless for some reason you are giving a day-long presentation, then it would be longer than that. And the last option would be to work at a booth for Guide by Your Side in an expo or conference. Again, making sure it's pre-approved. We don't want to have two people signing up for the same event. And we want to make sure that the event makes sense. Not all special needs expos or expos in general would be our biggest reach, and we only have so much in the budget. So again, just double check and make sure. There are several booth kits spread throughout the state that different guides have. So if this is an opportunity that you have coming up, you could just send out a message to the group and say, hey, who has a booth kit? I need to get it, and then work with them to make that happen. And then making sure that the booth kit has enough supplies so that you have stuff to hand out. Again, filling out an outreach form, and you would either bill for $40 or $90 depending on the length of the booth. 4 hours or less is $40. Anything above that is a $90 outreach. So we have this handy-dandy form, I believe it's in Trello, that shows you how to pull up the banner and put it together. It's really not that tricky, but you never know. So I put that together. So outreach, what is in it for professionals? Obviously, if the families are receiving services and rounding out their services, kind of like what I like to think about it, they're receiving therapy, they're receiving audiological care, but are they really receiving emotional care? Are they really getting somebody and talking to somebody that gets it? And when they do, they're able to let go of things and move on and go ahead and tackle some of the things that they might be hesitant to tackle. And so what does that do? That creates a healthier family. Families that are more connected within the community. Families that feel like they have all their ducks in a row. They have all the information that they need. They can make decisions and not second guess them. And what we've heard is that because those parents are more prepared and ready, they're consistent in their follow-through and making appointments and such. And then that makes a happier family because the kids receiving what they need, the parents are receiving what they need, and kind of all those buckets are being filled. What's in it for you when we do an outreach? Hopefully that will grow more referrals for that area. It will increase your knowledge of resources, because there have been times where I've gone and done an outreach and I've learned more about other companies and organizations as well. It broadens your skills. Yes, it's scary as all get out to go and do that first outreach and to be talking about something that you kind of know about but maybe not sure. And what happens if they ask me something I don't know? That's okay. Trust me, I don't even know everything. And it is okay to say, hey, you know what, I don't know, but that's a great question. Let me get an answer for you and get back to you. Is that all right? So, and then there's reimbursement. Again, if it's a phone presentation, if it's 4 hours or less, it's $40. If it's 4 hours or more, it's $90. We've looked at this before, the outreach form. I'm not going to go crazy, but I want you to know this is what you would fill out. Everything gets filled out. You never leave an area blank, especially follow-up needed. You're telling me you're going to go do an outreach and there's no follow-up. You have no one to check back in with. You have no one to give additional materials to. You don't have a mailing list to turn in and have entered into the database. Okay, if we turn that in with nothing in that area, we will not get reimbursed through our contract. So please make sure that every area is filled in. So I believe if you hover next to your name in the participant list, you should see a little hand icon kind of pop up, and if you click on that, I think the hand stays. So you guys check that out. Can you click on and see if you can make your hands appear? And I don't know if you see each other's hands. I think I might be able to see the only one with hands. Okay, Amber, I see your hand. And then if you do that again, it'll go away. Deb, I see yours. Okay. You can make yours go away too, Deb. Angie, do you know, can you see your hand?
No, I don't see a hand.
All right, Deb and Amber, because I don't get to do a hand because I'm the host. Was it right next to your name, or is it far right of your name?
Far right.
Far right. So Angie, if you put your cursor over your name and kind of swing your cursor further out to the right of the screen, but still highlighting your name, there should be a little hand you can click on.
Okay, let me see, because I'm on
okay. Yes, and I don't know what it looks. Okay. And I don't know what it looks like on the app. So
okay. I'm gonna keep playing with it. No, that's okay.
Okay. So Angie, you can just let me know, but for those of you that can raise your hands, do you know how to create a PowerPoint? And I ask that, okay, good. I ask that because there might be opportunities where you will be asked to do a presentation to the team. A lot of times, for instance, after we have our in-person training, if it's at an event where they have a bunch of different sessions and we kind of might be splitting up, we ask the team to come back and give a presentation so that we can learn from each other and the sessions that we were unable to attend. I don't know what I'm going to do with Bridges because we're all going to be pretty much hearing the same stuff. I think that I do want to do something because it helps you guys grow. And a lot of times we will ask even the guides to pair up with another guide. So it's not like you're going to do something totally on your own. And typically it's no more than 15, 20 minutes. So again, not a huge deal. All right, so Deb, take your hand down. Do you know how to show or use a PowerPoint? So if you took the PowerPoint that we have for outreach, would you know how to bring it up on the computer and go through the slides and so forth? If you do, raise your hand. All right, and if you don't, it's okay. I'd rather know and have us work on it together than have you get frustrated, okay? So, excellent. All right, so from here on out, I'm going to go ahead, and this is our Guide by Your Side outreach presentation. So I'm just going to do it as if you guys were the providers I was presenting to, okay? All right, so thank you so much for having me today. I'm going to share with you a little bit more about our program, Guide by Your Side. My name is Carrie Ballion, and I'm the coordinator with Guide by Your Side. I've been with the team since we started in 2009, and I'm so thankful for you having me here today. Today we're going to look at a couple different things. We're going to talk about what our program is about, who we serve, how much it costs to participate in the program, what is the role of a parent guide, what do they do, how do you refer a family, where do we receive referrals from, and what happens to a family after they're done participating in our program. So who are we? What are we all about? Guide by Your Side is a program designed to assist families who have children with a hearing loss. We offer emotional support to those families, and we provide specialized knowledge and resources because we are all parents of children with hearing loss ourselves. Our mission is to provide unbiased emotional support and resources by trained parent guides to families with children who have a hearing loss. We serve Illinois families with children who have a hearing loss up to the age of 21. However, our primary focus is from birth to 6. We provide one-on-one support and resources to families. And by doing that, we match them up with a parent guide from their area, and they have somebody that they can call on at any time to ask questions, share information, and learn from that guide's experiences. We provide informative calls for all. These happen about 9 times a year, and we'll have a little bit more information about that coming up. And we provide free family education and outreach events, again, throughout the state. We provide a newsletter called We're All Ears 3 times a year. And as of April 1st, we came home to our parent organization, Illinois Hands and Voices, and they are now our fiscal agent for our Guide by Your Side program, which provides cohesion between the 2 programs. So when a family is done with Guide by Your Side, they're still connected within our program because they participate in Hands and Voices events. So they still receive support, but it's more of a different model. It's a group model rather than the one-on-one model of Guide by Your Side. And speaking of Hands and Voices, Hands and Voices, like I said, is our sister organization, and currently Andrea Marwa is our chairperson for the Hands and Voices board. And here is our contact information. The best part of that is that Hands and Voices is not a standalone. We are supported by our Hands and Voices national program, and they provide a newsletter quarterly called The Communicator, and this is actually a paper newsletter that is mailed out. And if you have a membership, you would receive one of those. Memberships also include discounts to events and things that we're hosting as well. And we try our best to host events in different areas of the state. So what are the benefits of Guide by Your Side? We really help to lower the loss of follow-up through the support and education of a parent guide. So sometimes a family will come to us and they aren't fully connected to the programs that they should be. Maybe they're not enrolled in early intervention yet. Maybe they haven't heard of DSCC. Maybe they've had their screening done and they have a hearing aid, but maybe they haven't enrolled in a neighborhood school program. Maybe they haven't gone back for audiological follow-up for a longer period of time. So again, just making sure that they know kind of those next steps. We want to make sure they're connected to the right places. We want to also connect them to other parents aside from the parent guide. And we do that through, again, our sister organization of Hands and Voices and the events that we provide as well. We provide unbiased information. We are not going to tell them what to do. or what's best, because we all have different situations, and what's best for that family is what works for that family. And we're a single point of contact, disability specific. All of us on the team have children with hearing loss. We might have children with additional needs aside from hearing loss, but we do have children with hearing loss. And again, making sure that families are connected to state services. We are not going to take the place of any of the providers that they work with, but we're going to make sure that they are connected to those providers. The best benefit is that our services are free. Even though our guides are paid for the time, we do not charge families to participate in the program. So what does it take to be a parent guide? Well, again, they have to be a parent or guardian of a child who's hard of hearing or deaf. They all would complete an application and go through an interview process and then attend our annual in-person training. And then after that, we have trainings throughout the year in which they need to complete 80% of those ongoing trainings. They are an independent paid contractor, and we work as a team member, like I said, with the other agencies and professionals that support that family. We are not going to take the place of the audiologist. We will refer them back to that professional for the services that they might be needing. Currently, our team has myself as the program coordinator and 14 parent guides. And like I mentioned, all of us have children with hearing loss, but we do have some specialties within our team. We do have a parent guide who is deaf herself, aside from raising children with hearing loss. We do have parent guides who are native Spanish speakers. And we have parent guides who have children who are considered deaf plus, whether that means they have vision concerns or a syndrome or ADHD. We have a variety of folks on our team, which is great because we can pull and learn from each other. And of course, our team varies in the choices that we've made for our family, whether that's communication choices, amplification, educational placements, and that degree of loss within the children that have hearing loss. So we have a little bit of everything, and that, again, creates that balance, and it helps us learn from each other. When we looked at creating the regions for our state, we really tried hard to not split up CFC offices. So that's why we kind of got this crazy busy map here. And because the northern part, the Chicagoland area of the state is more populated, we will have more children with hearing loss in those areas, and that's why those areas are smaller, okay? And as you go out, the regions get a little bit bigger. So what does it look like? We receive a referral of a family, and that family goes through an intake process to get some background information, and then that family is matched up with a guide. After that guide receives that referral, they attempt to make contact with that family within 48 hours. They can talk with the family in person, over the phone, email, Skype, whatever works for that family and that guide is perfectly fine. We connect families with other families that maybe have similar backgrounds or maybe that are in their regional area, and then this allows those children to have peers. They might be in a school setting or in an area where they're the only one, and it doesn't have to be that way. And our overall goal was to empower the family with sharing resources and helping the family find the information that they need. We want to make sure that this family can go ahead and feel like they have all the tools they need to find information and answer their questions in the future. So again, working with the family, main goals is that the guide is going to listen. It is not about the guide's story, it is about the family's story. What do they have to share with us? How can we help them? Again, giving them unbiased information. If they're looking for resources, we're not just going to give them one resource. We're going to give them several resources and make the choice that works for their family. If they ask and they're interested, we will share our personal experiences and, of course, suggest strategies for things that they might be going through, and it could be as simple as, what do you do when they keep pulling out their hearing aids? and suggesting maybe techniques that we've used or strategies that we've used or heard about from other friends that we have. In the end, after the parent guide is done working with the family, we will go ahead and close that family's file, and then after that, I will send them a survey to review their idea of how they felt about participating in the program. So you might be thinking, oh, this is great. I love this resource. What do I do? How do I refer families? So there's a couple different ways that you can do it. Of course, because of HIPAA, if you have the family sign a release of information form, you can then go ahead and contact me and share that family's information with me. You can give them one of our brochures, and they can fill it out and mail it in. I've had professionals where they've given the family the form in the office, the family filled out the form in the office, and then the provider faxed it in for them. And of course, the family can always call or email me directly. So for you visual folks, here's a little bit how the program works, kind of what I just described to you. The referral comes into the program coordinator, me. I go ahead and do the intake with the family, match them up with the parent guide. The parent guide works with the family. Typically, we see that the guide and the family work for about 6 months before we go ahead and close that file. And then the family information comes back to me, and I go ahead and send them, close out their file and send them a survey. Now, again, I shared when the family is ready to exit the program, we really encourage them to stay in touch with Illinois Hands and Voices so that they can continue to stay up to date on what's out there, what's available, what's happening in the state, and of course, having opportunities to meet up with other families. The other thing about this is that we know that from our experience that questions that we have at the beginning or at whatever point of the journey that family came in with can change and develop and become confusing again as that child grows and, and maybe changes amplification or changes schooling and so forth. And they might need to come back to the program again, and that's perfectly fine. We're here throughout the years. Just because they participate in the program once doesn't mean they can't come back again. So earlier I mentioned that we have calls for all. We have these in English and in spoken Spanish. Currently the topics are different, different times, different dates, and different topics. But these are available. They are recorded unless unfortunately something happens to the recording. They are recorded and then they are put on our Illinois Sound Beginnings website for access for anyone later on. The great thing about these calls is they are open to professionals and parents. You just dial in at the time that it's happening and you can learn more about that topic from the guest speaker. And these are not even specific to the state too. So if anyone from out of state, our bordering states, so forth, wants to join in and learn more, they can certainly do so. The next a thing that we provide aside from the one-on-one support is FEO events. These are family education outreach events. These are opportunities for families to come together, learn more about resources, learn more about our program because they do not have to be within Guide by Your Side to attend these events, and just hang out with other families and have a good time. And so these are some of the different things that we have done with the kiddos, from pumpkin painting, story time, to gymnastics fun. So some of you might be interested to kind of know a little bit more about our program. This is from when we started through June of 2015. And within that time frame, over 550 families have been served by our program. Commonly, insurance-wise, Medicaid and all kids are higher amount of how kids are covered. Newborn screening results, most of them did not pass. However, you will find that, a third or a quarter of who we've helped did pass. And again, these are reported by the parent. So don't get crazy when you see that was not screened number. Some of those are adoptions and they don't screen in the countries that they've adopted from and so forth. Primary languages of enrolled families. English is our number one language, and then from there it would be the Spanish or English, Spanish, and then other languages. We primarily serve 6 and under, as you can see, but that doesn't mean that kids over 6 haven't enrolled and participated in our program. Again, it varies depending on what that family is going through, what they're experiencing, and when that child was diagnosed. So you never know who might be a good fit for the program. The other great piece about this graphic here is that you can see we get a little bit of our resources from everyone. So if everyone does their part, that's how these families reach us. So don't assume that the Child and Family Connections Office is going to be the one to make the referral, or that the audiologist is going to do so, or the state is going to do so. Don't assume those things. Bring it up to the family, share with the family, let the family make the choice of whether or not they need our services. And this was a quote shared by a family that we had served. They had said, "God by Our Side is such a valuable program and truly helped my family when we found out about our son's hearing loss. I'm not sure I would feel so confident in my son's future if it were not for the conversations I have with my parent guide." So it really makes you feel good to know that we have this program available to touch families the way we have. So you're thinking, okay, how do I get started? Who do I need to talk to? Well, that would be me. And here's my contact information here. You can also find us on Facebook. We have an Illinois Hands Voices Facebook page. We also have a Guide by Our Side Facebook page, but our Hands Voices one is more active and supported. You can also contact us if you are looking to help us out financially, or if you have resources to share, or maybe in-kind donations. If you ever want to partner up with us on one of our trainings or events, or, of course, number one reason, referring a family to our program. And this is who you need to contact. So, any questions? Okay, well, I want to thank you so much for having me today and for taking some time out of your day to learn more about our program. And I just want you to know, if you ever need anything, or you're ever looking for a resource or have a question, don't hesitate to give us a call. We're more than happy to help. Thank you again for having me. All right. So any questions, ladies? Okay. All right, well, let's go on with the post-test then. So question 1, you can provide outreach to professionals by A, manning a booth, B, sending a letter, C, giving a Guide by Your Side presentation at a conference, D, visiting an office or a provider and giving them a presentation, or E, all the above. Question 1. Good. Question 2. Whenever you provide outreach, you should send in a completed outreach form, true or false? Angie, I didn't see yours come over yet. There we go. Okay. Question 3, by doing outreach with providers, they learn how and which families can enroll in Guide by Your Side, true or false? Question 4, the mission of Guide by Your Side is to A, change the world for children who have a hearing loss, B, provide unbiased information and resources, C, tell families what to do because no one told us. D, provide as much outreach as humanly possible. Or E, answer C and D. Okay, last question. Guide by your side parent guides are so well trained that they can stand in for the audiologist when the family needs help troubleshooting audiological equipment. True or false? Great. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.